over yonder, so I can take a look around at what you've seen. I can see from where I am you're on an adventure, in a place you can't describe. Some things can't be captured in words.
Alright, what's up mga kamat learner? Isang magandang araw sa inyong lahat. Ito pa rin ang inyong abot kamay na mga teacher, si Sir Ash. And today, magde-discuss tayo ng panibagong discussion para sa ating mga students sa grade 9. And we will be talking about the 5th module, which is still part of the quarter 2, which is entitled Simplifying and Performing Operations on Radical Expressions. Basically, my dear math learners, ang mga discussion na ito or ang topic na ito ay na-discuss na sa ating channel doon sa grade 9 quarter 2 playlist, na kung saan ang iba't ibang operations from the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division is being discussed thoroughly. But since this is a live discussion for our module, then we will continue to do so. Alright! So if you are still new to our channel, please hit that like button at subscribe button para maging updated ka sa ating magiging discussion in the future, as well as click that notification bell, my dear math learners. Alright! So ngayon nga ay i-discuss na natin ang ating module. So mga students dyan, hopefully you are having a good time and wonderful feeling and emotions para mag-start learning our discussion. Alright, okay. So for the first page of this module, we have the cover page, the quarter 2 module 5 entitled Simplifying and Performing Operations on Radical Expressions. Second page of this one is the people behind this module. And of course, disclaimer lang po, hindi po ako ang may-ari ng mga modules na ito. Instead, it is being given by the Department of Education at nandito lang po si Math Teacher Ash para tulungan kayo mga students. Alright, so third page of this module is the introductory message for the facilitators, yun yung mga teachers, as well as for the math learners. Alright, and then on the fourth page is the objective. So, ano nga ba ang objective sa ating lesson for today? So, first is to simplify radical expressions using the law of radicals. Pangalawa is to perform addition and subtraction of radical expressions. And pangatlo naman ay to perform multiplication and division of radical expression. So basically, my dear math learners, pag-uusapan natin paano mag-add, mag-subtract, times at mag-divide ng mga radical expressions. Alright. So after this, let us learn, which is the objectives. You have now the activity let us try, and this let us try, as we all know, is a pretest. ABCD lang po ito mga ka-math learners, and you are subjected to answer this, but no pressure because this is just a pretest, just to know whether you have a prior knowledge about this topic. So ano nga ba ito? So these are 20 questions, all in the multiple choice ABCD lang po mga ka-math learner. Okay, so now let us continue. And in the 6th page, we have the introduction of the module. So lesson 1 is how to simplify radical expressions. On the last module, we have discussed already the rational exponents as well as the radical expressions. So now, how do we simplify radical expressions? Okay. So of course, konting review lang na ang isang radical expression ay ang expression na kung saan gumagamit ito ng radical symbol, which is this one. Okay, itong nth root of a, or kung saan si n is the index and si a naman is the radicand. Okay, so kung index, kung wala tayong nakikitang n doon sa ating nth root, ibig sabihin that is already 2. Pero kung meron tayong makitang 3, that means cube root. Kung makita tayong 4, fourth root, and so on and so forth. Okay. And for the a, it is the number inside the ano tawag dyan? Radical expression or radical symbol. So yan yung radicand. Okay. So the law or the laws for radicals are obtained directly from the laws 4 exponents by means of the definition, the nth root of a to the power of m is just equal to a to the power of m over n. Okay, ito yon my dear math learners, yung sinasabi ko. So, as you can see, ang radical expressions or ang isang radical expression ay nagmula sa isang rational exponent. Ano ba tong rational exponent? Yung numerator, or ito yung mga exponent na may fraction. Yung numerator ng fraction na yun yung nagiging new root for our radicand, or new exponent for our radicand, at yung denominator naman ay yun ang yung magiging index natin. Okay, so napakadali lamang po dito, my dear math learners. So now, let us go to the laws of radicals. So if n is even, ibig sabihin yung index. Assuming that a or b is greater than or equal to 0, so ito yung mga rules natin. The nth root of a to the power of n is just equal to a. So pwede mong i-cancel ito. So palakahin lang po natin, my dear math learners, para mas makita ninyo. Alright, okay. So ito dito, kapag merong index dito, tapos yung index kapareho lang din na, or identical lang sila ng exponent ng radicand, then you can cancel them and you just copy the base of the radicand. Okay, so yun, that is A. Now, another naman is the number 2. The nth root of AB is just the same as the nth root of A, the nth root of B. So, technically speaking, yung AB dito refers to multiplication. So, A times B, that is AB. So, pwede mo silang paghiwalayin, i-separate mo sila sa kani-kanilang mga radical expressions. So, that is nth root of A and nth root of B.
Easy, right?
Yes, napaka-easy lang talaga, my dear math learners. Now, in terms of fractions, like this one, number 3, we have the square root of A over B. Of course, pwede mo din yan siyang gamitin like the same or as the same as the number 2. So, pwede mong paghiwalayin ang radical symbol, giving you the nth root of A over the nth root of B. So, pwede yan sila. Okay? So far, my dear math learners, ito sa number 3, dapat meron pa itong n dito. Okay? May n pa yan dito kasi if we could read this is square root of A over B. Pagdating dito, naging nth root of A na. So, may n pa yan dito, my dear math learners. Nakalimutan lang. Okay. Now, going to the fourth, we have the nth root of A to the m is just the same as the nth root of A quantity to the power of m. Okay. So, regardless kung nasa loob yung exponent or nasa labas ang exponent, they are just the same. And if ever you have a radical expression na ang loob niya ay isa pang radical expression, this is the mth root of the nth root of A. Okay. That is just the same as the mn root of A. Okay. So, technically speaking, pag magkaroon kayo ng encounter na ganito na si radical ay ni radical pa, yan. So, ang gagawin mo lang is just to multiply the indices. So, mn, and you will have your parang simplified. Okay, simplified expression. Okay, so napakadali lang, my dear math learners. So, simplification pa tayo dyan, okay? So, to simplify radicals, it is important to reduce the radical to its simplest form through the use of the following operation. Number 1, removal of perfect nth powers from a radicand. Okay. So, ano ba ang ibig sabihin yan? Any radical of order n should be simplified by removing all perfect nth powers from under the radical sign using the rule, the nth root of AB is equal to the nth root of A, nth root of B. So, paano yan siya, my dear math learners? Okay, sa madaling salita, ganito lang yon. Kung pwede mo pa siyang i-simplify or pwede mo pang biyakin ang isang expression as your radicand, do so. So, para example lang yan is square root of 8. Example dito. Now, alam natin si square root of 8, walang square root ang 8. Pero pwede nating biyakin si square root of 8 as square root of 4 and square root of 2 because 4 times 2 is square root of 8. So, pwede mo siyang biyakin because the square root of 4 is a perfect square at meron yun siyang square root. Okay, ganun lang yun, my dear math learners. Okay, so dahan-dahanin natin ang example na ito. So, we have an example in letter A, 3x square root of 8x cubed y to the power of 13. Okay, so paano to siya? Now, my dear math learners, ang gagawin mo dito, in terms of the number, so, we have here 8, right? So, ang gagawin mo dyan is to check whether ang 8 ba pwede nating i-break down into factors in which one factor is a perfect square. So, ano bang factors ng 8 na yung isa is a perfect square? Of course, that is 4 and 2. So, pwede mo siyang biyakin as 4 and 2. Alright? Now, how about the variables? Now, in terms of the variable, make sure na yung exponent sa loob ng radical symbol ay mas maliit kaysa sa index. Okay, so ang index natin dito, since wala tayong nakikitang number dito sa parang tail ng radical sign, wala tayong nakikitang number dyan, so it means that is square root. 2 yan siya. So if that is the case, dapat yung mga exponent ng variables is mas maliit pa sa 2. So since we have here x cubed, we have here y to the 13. So technically, pwede nating biyakin si x cube as the factors of 2. So, ano ba mga factors ng 2? So, that is x squared and x. So, we have here x squared. Ayan. Hindi siya maano natin. So, that is x squared. And we also have here 1. Okay, another x. So, total x cube. Okay, to the product rule. Now, how about the y13? So, sa y13 naman, pwede kang gumawa ng mga factors of 2. So, ano bang factors of 2 ng 13? So, technically, if we consider 13, meron yan siyang anim na y squared. So, y squared, y squared, y squared, y squared, y squared, y squared, and then y. So, technically, that is, yung anim na y squared is y to the 12 yun siya. Okay? So, bakit y to the 12? Kasi, ang y to the 12 ay factorable by 2. So, ngayon, we have here y12 and we have here y. Okay? So, more of this, my dear math learners, para mas malaman nyo kung paano mag-breakdown sa ating mga in-depth videos on our playlist. Okay? So, if ever naging na-factor mo na ito ng ganito, now you can simplify them. So, you just copy the 3x outside. So, what is the square root of 4? That is 2. What is the square root of x squared? That is x. What is the square root of y12? Of course, that is 6. Technique here, my dear math learners, is i-divide mo lang siya sa index. So, si 2 dito, may 2 yan siya dyan, di ba, na invisible. So, 2 divided by 2, that is 1. So, x to the power of 1 or x. 12 divided by 2, that is y6 or y to the power of 6. So, you have 2xy to the power of 6. Now, anong gamit nito? Okay, since ito yung mga sobra, ito yung mga walang perfect square. So, square root of 2, wala tayong square root of 2. Square root of x, mas maliit pa kaysa sa ating index. Okay, yung y natin mas maliit pa sa ating index. So, you just copy right now. Okay, copy na lang. So, now, ito dito, itong ni-bring down natin na 3x dito, at saka itong mga na-simplify natin mula sa 4x squared y to the power of 12, which is 2xy to the power of 6. Ngayon, since nasa labas na siya ng radical sign, we will now simplify this part, okay? So, 3x times 2xy to the power of 6. So, 3 times 2, that is 6. Tapos, meron na tayong dalawang x dito. This will become x squared, and then we will just copy y to the power of 6. Okay? And then, bring down yung radical expression na hindi natin masimplify. Okay, so, you will have the final answer as the 6x squared y to the power of 6 square root of 2xy. Okay.
Easy, right?
Madaling-madali lang talaga, my dear math learners. So now, let us continue another example. So we have here the cube root of 32. So the cube root of 32. So ano nga ba ang number na pwede nating i-break down? So may number ba na i-multiply ng 3 beses sa sarili niya ang lalabas 32? Of course, wala. Tama? Because 32 is not a perfect cube. So, how do we know para malaman ito siya? Okay, ganito lang, my dear math learners. Since cube root of 32 is a factor of 2. So, ganito yan siya, or is a power of 2. So, let me just show you our whiteboard, okay? So, we have here the cube root of 32. Okay, so I hope maklarong-klaro, hindi maklaro yung 3 ko. Okay, the cube root of 32. Now, since 32, my dear math learners, is a factor of 2, or a power of 2. Excuse me, okay? So, we can break this down into 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, okay? 2 times 2, 4 times 2, 8 times 2, 16 times 2, 32. Sobra na ako. Okay. Okay, so ganyan, 5 2. So, 2 to the power of 5, yan siya. Of course, dahil cube root ito, 3 lang din ang kukunin ko. So, that is 2 cube, alright? And 2 squared. Alright, okay. So, of course, since this is an example of our first law of radicals that we can cancel them, this will give us 2, okay? Ilayo-layan natin, okay? Arrow ito. So, this will give us 2. And then, since ito siya, hindi na natin pwedeng ma-simplify, we just copy it, okay? But 2 squared is 4. So, we have the final answer, 2 cube root of 4. And if we check our example, or our module, that is here. Okay, 2 cube root of 4. Easy, right? Easy, easy lang talaga, my dear math learners. So now, let us continue. So we have here the 16th root, the square root of 16x to the 4 power and y to the power of 7. Okay, so how do we do this one? So of course, 16 is a perfect square, and that is 4, right? So that is 4. X to the 4th, and then 2 dito. So, ito, tuturuan ko kayo ng parang, mas madali ng paraan. So, x to the 4th, tapos, 2 ito dito yung index natin. So, 4 divided by 2, that is 2. So, x squared. Okay, so x squared tayo dyan. So, we have here y to the 7. So, 7 divided by 2. Kung i-divide natin ang 7 sa 2, meron tayong sagot na 3, pero may sobrang isa, may remainder na isa. So, therefore, we will have y cube. Yon, y cube, which is 3, right? And then, yung sobrang isa, ipapaiwan natin sa loob ng radical sign. So, we still copy the square root symbol, and then we put our sobra na y without the square root. So, that is your final answer. Okay, napakadali lang, my dear math, right? Okay, so now let us go to the reduction of the index of the radical. Okay, so we have here, my dear math learners, isa din itong another way how to simplify radical expressions. So first, we have here the example, the fourth root of 64. Okay, the fourth root of 64. Of course, 64 is from the 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. That is 2 to the power of 6. Okay. So, of course, 6 divided by 4, the answer for that is 2 to the power of, ano ba tawag dyan? 2 to the power of 2 square root at 2 fourth root of 2 squared. I'm sure hindi nyo nakuha yun. Okay, ulitin ko. Ang 6, i-divide mo sa 4, ang sagot dyan is 1. So, meron kang 2 sa labas na isa. Tama? Pero, may sobra pang dalawa. So, we could have an answer na 2 to the power of 2. Ganito. Ipakita ko na lang sa'yo para at least makuha ninyo. Easy, right? Ay, hindi pa easy. Hindi pa nasagot. Okay, so try natin. Alright. So, let's show it in our, para at least meron kayong dalawang. So, my dear math learners, ang sagot dito is square root of 8, di ba? Alright, so, let me show you how this is done in a different way. Okay. So, we have here the fourth root of 64. Okay. Alam natin ang 64 ay 2 to the power of 6. Of course, 6 and 4, pag i-divide natin itong dalawa, ang sagot ay 2 to the power of 1. Tama? May 1. Pero sobra ng dalawa. Okay, may remainder 2. So, therefore, that is fourth root of 2 squared. Okay, ganon. So now, we have 2 here, because 2 to the power of 1 is 2. And then this one, since they are factorable, tingnan nyo, okay? 2 and 4. So 2, they can be simplified because if we change this, this will become 2 over 4 and that is 1/2. So square root of 2. Okay? Now, ang tanong ngayon, Sir Ash, bakit ang sagot dito is square root of 8? Remember, my dear math learners, that square root of 8, when you simplify this, this will become 4 and 2. And if you simplify square root of 4 and 2, the square root of 4 is a perfect square, and the square root of 2 doesn't have any perfect square, or it's not a perfect square, then you just copy this one, and they are just the same. Okay, my dear math learners? So, I hope klarong-klaro yan sa inyo. So, that is another way how to simplify. As we all know, in this given module, the square root of 8 is not yet simplified. Pwede pa itong biyakin. Katulad dito kanina. Oh, yan. Okay? So, pwede pa yung biyakin. So, now, let us go to the letter B. We have the 6th root of 16. 6th root of 16, x to the power of 6. Okay, so 6th root. Paano ba to? Now, as you can see, 16, if we try to break it down to the power of 2, that is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Okay, 2 times 2, 4 times 2, 8 times 2, 16. So, 2 to the power of 4 lang yan. Okay, so we have here, ang ginawa dito is, in-out niya, okay, tingnan nyo ha, itong 16 at si x to the power of 6. In-out niya ngayon ang parang change niya ang simplification ng expression. So, kinuha niya ang square root ng 16, that is 4. Square root ng x to the power of 6, that is 3. Pero naglagay muna siya ng to the power of 2. Ibig sabihin, kinuha niya yung equivalent simplification nito. Okay? And then after that, itong 2 dito sa labas at itong 6 dito sa index, ang ginawa niya is, kinonvert niya into a rational exponent, and that is 2 over 6. Of course, itong 2 over 6, if we simplify it in the lowest term, that will become 1/3. So, having this 1/3, you will go back, okay, you will go back to the radical expression. So, this 3 here will become your new index, giving you cube root of 4x cube. But since the cube here and the cube root of, or the index here is identical, so they are divisible with each other. So 3 divided by 3, that is 1. So we have x outside, okay, with the 1 exponent. And then since our 4 is not a perfect cube, then magpapaiwan si cube root of 4. Okay, or si 4 doon sa cube root. So therefore, you will have your final answer as x cube root of 4. Okay, so ganun lang po kadali, my dear math learners. Of course, if you want to try it with my technique kanina na pinakita, pwedeng-pwede din naman yon. Kasi I'm sure you will have a hard time in this part. Ito na part, okay? Yan, ito na part. I'm sure malilito kayo pa. Sir Ash, paano to nangyari? Okay, paano to nangyari? We didn't know. Okay? So, ang gagawin na lang natin is, technically, you can do the same. Okay? So, let me show you how this is done. Okay. Alright, so I hope you are having a good time, my dear math learners. Okay. So, example lamang po, another way to solve this one. So, that is 6th root of 16x to the power of, ano ba yan? To the power of 6. Okay. So, okay. Paano nga ba ito, my dear? Sorry, hindi pala na-open ang aking whiteboard. Okay. So, paano nga ba ito? Alright. So, ito, i-convert ko into powers of 2. So, this is 2 to the 4th. Okay? So, since this is x6 and 6, of course, this is already, the answer of this one is 1, right? So, I can already put here 1. Okay, my dear math learners? I already have the answer. So, ito na lang ang isi-simplify ko ngayon. So, having said that, I will change this into a rational exponent. So, that is 2 to the power of 4 over 6. Of course, 4 over 6 is 2/3. Okay? So that is 2 to the power of 2/3. So that is x here, okay? Times pen silang dalawa. And then, I will now change this into a radical expression. And this will become x because ito, hindi man part dito. So I will just write this one. And then I will convert this into a radical expression. And that will become a cube root of 2 squared. Now, what is 2 squared? The answer for that is 4. So your final answer is x cube root of 4, which is just the same as okay. Easy, right? Easy lang talaga, my dear math learners. So I hope you got that one. All right? Okay, so next we have here our third scenario, how to simplify a radical expression. Okay. Ano ba to? Rationalization of the denominator. Okay, first rule, my dear math learners, is that when you have a final answer that has a radical sign or radical symbol in the denominator side, then your final answer is not yet final. Okay? So, bakit? Kasi bawal po magkaroon ng, anong tawag dyan? Radical symbol sa denominator side, katulad nito. So, ang tawag dyan, what you will do is to rationalize this given. Okay, because as we all know, the square root of 5 over square root of 2, the square root of 5 cannot be divided by square root of 2. Even you try this one, hindi mo madidivide si 5 by 2, right? Okay? As a number. So, technically, my dear math learners, this is already simplified. But because of the rule that there should be no final answer na merong, square root symbol sa denominator side, then what you will do is to rationalize this one. Ang tanong, Sir Ash, paano ba mag-rationalize? Okay. Ang aim ng rationalization is just to eliminate the square root symbol below or in the denominator side. So, what to do is to multiply a certain number or a certain expression that would make your denominator into a perfect factor or perfect root of the given index. So, since we are talking about square root here, so ano ba ang kailangan ng square root of 2 para maging perfect square? So, of course, it needs another square root of 2. Kasi pag square root of 2 times square root of 2, the answer is square root of 4. Okay. Of course, sa mathematics, pantay tayo. Kung ano yung ginawa mo sa baba, yun din ang gagawin mo sa taas. So, if you multiply square root of 2 in the denominator, you will also multiply square root of 2 in the numerator, my dear math learners. So, having said that, if you simplify square root of 5 times square root of 2, the answer is square root of 10. And if you multiply the denominator side, square root of 2 times square root of 2, the answer is square root of 4. Now, you will have this answer right now. And if you simplify square root of 10, of course, kahit biyakin mo yan, walang perfect square na lalabas. So, you just copied it. That is square root of 10. And then, the square root of 4, meron yung perfect square. So, that is 2. So, your final answer is square root of 10 over 2. Alright, napakadali lang po, my dear math learners. Easy, right? Yes, easy lang talaga. Okay, how about this one? 2 over square root of 3. Of course, this is square root pa rin. So, we need to multiply it to another square root of 3 para maging perfect square. So, having said that, so you multiply square root of 3 sa baba, square root of 3 sa taas. So, 2 times square root of 3, since 2 here is a whole number, square root of 3 is a radical expression. If you multiply them, you just put them together. So, 2 square root of 3 over square root of 3 times square root of 3, that is square root of 9. And if you simplify square root of 9, the answer is positive 3. Okay, and that is your final answer. Easy, right? Yes, easy lang talaga, my dear math learners. Pero ang tanong, Sir Ash, what if ang denominator ay binomial, meaning 2 terms? Okay, if that is the case, my dear math learners, what you will do is you need to multiply it to its conjugate. Sir, ano ba yung conjugate? Ayan, alright. So, yan, the conjugate. Yan. Now, the conjugate is basically a partner, a counterpart symbol of a binomial para when you multiply them, it will become a, ano tawag dito? The difference of 2 squares, ganun, parang ganun. Okay? If you still remember your lesson in the special products, okay? So, to make the long story short, ganito lang. So, if you have this given, alright? So, ang aim mo dito is ito mawala. Tama? Itong square root of y. Yung square root ng y dyan. So, since this is a binomial, two terms, square root of y plus 3. So, what you will do is you multiply it to its conjugate. So, the conjugate is basically the opposite operation given by the binomial. So, if this is plus 3, so, ang conjugate niya is you just copy the binomial, but the operation is opposite. So, minus 3 ka lang, my dear math learners. Of course, if you multiply that one to the denominator, you should also multiply that one to the numerator. So, when you multiply square root of 2y to y squared, that will give you square root of 2y squared minus, since 3 here is a whole number, and then this is a radical expression, then you just write first the whole number, and then you copy the radical expression, giving you minus 3 square root of 2y. So, that is the, parang nasa labas or nasa taas numerator. Now, how about this denominator? So, of course, this is an example of the special products, the multiplication of binomial in which they are opposite operations. So, if this is the case, you can just copy this one. You put a square, okay? The squared of the first term and the squared of the second term. Then you copy minus, okay? So, ulitin ko. Ano bang squared ng square root of y? That is square root of y squared. Ano bang squared ng 3? When I say squared, that is multiplied by itself. So, ano bang squared ng 3? That is 9. Okay? So, you have square root of y squared minus 9. Of course, this is not yet simplified because meron pa tayong square root dito. Now, having said this, as you can see, this is the index. Okay? May index to dito na 2. And then, your y here is the power of 2, the squared. So, they are both compatible with each other. Equal or larger, you need to simplify. Katulad ng sabi ko kanina. So, if that is the case, 2 divided by 2, that is 1. Okay? So, walang sobra doon. So, therefore, since ang nagmamay-ari niya na is si y, so y tayo dyan to the power of 1. Pero wag mo na isulat si to the power of 1. Y na lang. So, nakalabas na ngayon si y. Now, how about square root of 2? May square root ba si 2? Wala. So, you just copy square root of 2. Then, on the second term in the numerator, we have negative 3. Since 2 and y is not a perfect square and hindi na din sila masimplify, you just copy them. Okay, so over. Ano bang denominator? Ano bang square root ng y squared? Of course, that is y. Katulad lang dito kanina, square root of y squared. Square root of y squared. So that is y. Then, since this is not part of your radical expression, you just copy it, minus 9. So you have the final answer, this one. Easy, right? Yes, easy lang talaga, my dear math learners. So I hope if ever you have still medyo confusions about this topic, feel free to put it in our comment section below. Okay, so next, we have here the more examples. Of course, this is an example na divide naman. So we have here the square root of 4x squared over z6. Now, your 4 here is a perfect square. Your x squared here is a perfect square. So, you can simplify this as 2x na lang. Okay, so 2x. And then, z6 is also a perfect square. So, 6 divided by 2. 2 here because 2 ang index natin. So, that is 3. So, ito na agad ang final answer mo. Okay? So, baka magtanong kayo, Sir Ash, bakit hindi ka nag-multiply ng ano dyan? Or hindi ka nag-rationalize? Hindi tayo nag-rationalize because this can be simplified. Okay? As long as you can simplify it, then do so. Ganun lang kadali, may demand. Huwag mo na pahirapan yung sarili mo. Okay? Easy, right? Yes, easy lang talaga. Okay, how about this one, my dear math learners? Okay, how about cube naman? Okay. So, having cube, you have here cube root of 13 over 2. Of course, kung bibiyakin mo ito, magiging cube root of 13 over cube root of 2. Still, si denominator may cube root pa rin, pero hindi na sila masimplify. 13 is not divisible by 2. And 13 is not a perfect cube. 2 is not a perfect cube. So, therefore, what you can do here is you can now apply the rationalization. So, ano ang kailangan nito para maging perfect cube? So, hindi ka magmumultiply ng 2 lang. Bakit? Kasi 2 times 2, that is 4. Hindi pa rin yung perfect cube. So, you need 2 squared. Okay? So, it needs to have a power of, para bang, kailangan matotal niya sa kanyang exponent is power of 3, which is the index. So, since this is 2 to the power of 1, so it needs 2 more powers. Okay? So, 2 to the power of 2 tayo. Okay, so if you multiply 2 to the power of 2 sa denominator, magmo-multiply ka rin ng 2 to the power of 2 sa numerator, then you will have 13 times 4. Okay, 13 times 4 is 52. Alright, then 2 times 4, kasi 2 squared is 4, 2 times 4, that is 8. So the cube root of 8, of course, 8 is a perfect cube, so that is 2. And 52 is not a perfect cube, then you just copy it. Okay? So you have the cube root of 52 over 2. Napakadali lang, my dear math learners. Okay, so letter C, ganun lang din, my dear math learners. So since this is fourth root, si 9 ay hindi perfect fourth root or perfect 4. Ano ba tawag dyan? Perfect powers of 4. Si a cube, hindi perfect powers of 4. Si y squared, hindi perfect powers of 4. Si 8 naman, hindi perfect powers of 4. Si b6, though pwede siyang i-divide dito, later on you will know about that. Si x cube naman is hindi din siya perfect powers of 4. So, of course, para maging perfect 4 itong nandito sa baba, si 8, it needs, kasi 8 is 2 cube, right? So, it needs 1 more 2. So, we multiply 2 there para maging 16. Kasi 16 is a perfect fourth power. Okay? So, 8 times 2 para maging 16. Then B6, kulang pa para maging perfect powers of 4. We need to have a perfect powers na walang sobra. Bakit? Kasi kung may sobra, magpapaiwan yan sa denominator side and you will have still an answer na merong radical sign. So, iniiwasan natin yun. So, ilan ang kailangan ni 6 para maging perfect power, perfect divisible by 4. So, it needs 2 more. So, mag-multiply tayo ng b squared. And then si cube naman, x cube, ilan ang kailangan ni cube para maging perfect power of 4? So we have 1 more x. Okay, so ang imo-multiply na natin ngayon sa numerator and denominator is 2b squared x. Okay, so if you multiply this in the numerator and the denominator, 9 times 2, that is 18. A cube, you copy. B squared, you copy. And then your y, you copy lang din. Your x, you copy. Okay? So, technically, i-copy mo lang lahat kasi hindi sila pareho ng mga variables. Okay. So, how about the denominator? So, 8 times 2, that is 16. B6 times, b to the power of 6 times b squared, that is b to the power of 8. X cubed times x, that is x to the fourth. So, as you can see, 16 is a perfect fourth power. B to the power of 8 is divisible to the index. X to the fourth is divisible to the index. So, 16, the fourth root of 16 is 2. So, b to the 8 divided by 4, that is b squared. Then, x to the power of 4, yung 4, i-divide mo sa 4, that is 1. So, x. So, wala ka nang natira dito sa denominator side. You just copy the numerator side, and this will be your final answer. Easy, right? Okay, my dear math learners, I know medyo challenging yun siya na part sa inyo, but I'm sure kayang-kaya nyo yan. Okay, so a radical is said to be in the simplest form if all perfect n powers have been removed from the radical. The index of the radical is as small as possible and no fractions are present in the radicand. Okay, in example, the denominator side is rationalized. Okay, lesson 2 na tayo. Grabe ang module na ito. Napaka broad. Okay, so operations on radicals. Alright, so we have here, okay, so the code, this is just, ano tawag dyan, activity. So decode the message. So ang gagawin mo lang dito, my dear math learners, is etong number 1, okay? So that is 1 to 12. So ito yung mga questions natin, alright? So ang sagot nito sa number 1 ay hahanapin mo dito, okay? So kung ano yung sagot, yung letter ang ilalagay mo dito, okay? So, example, we have here, square root of 25. Of course, the answer for that is 5. So, yung k, so dyan mo siya ilalagay, k. Alright, my dear math learners, napakadali lang po Yan. Okay. So, of course, hindi ko ibibigay ang mga sagot dito kasi we just discussed simplifying expression and this is multiple choice. So, napakadali lang po. Yan, my dear math learners. So, mapo-form nyo ang mga letters dyan and there will be a message. Alright. So, let's go to activity 3. Find me. Okay. So, ganun lang din. I-rationalize mo. So, ito naman na part is to rationalize. Of course, what you will do in rationalization is to multiply both in the numerator and in the denominator such that the denominator side will be simplified. Okay, so example of that, 1 over square root of 2. So you will multiply square root of 2 in the denominator and in the numerator, giving you square root of 2 over square root of 4, which is when simplified, square root of 2 over 2. Saan ba dyan? Ayan, square root of 2 over 2, letter V. At yan ang sagot sa number 1. Easy, right? Easy lang talaga, my dear math learners. You just have to make use of what you have learned right now. And I'm sure kayang-kaya nyo yan, my dear math learners. Okay, so nasa choices lang din ang sagot. Now, let us go to activity 4. Let us try. Let us identify whether the given set of are similar radicals or dissimilar radicals. When we say similar radicals, when you simplify them, they will have the same radicand. Okay? Okay. Let's try. So we have here square root of 2, square root of 5, square root of 7, and square root of 10. Of course, si 2, si 5, si 7, and si 10, hindi mo na kaya niyang biyakin. So they are not the same. And so we can say that they are dissimilar radicals. Okay, how about this one? Ito, 6, 6, 6, 6. So we have the same radicand, which is 6. So of course, that is similar. Same goes here, similar. Ito naman, okay, let's try this one. This one, pag bibiyakin, that is 4 and 2. Magpapaiwan si 2, si 4 may perfect square. Similar sila dito. Si 18 naman is 9 and 2. Si 9 may perfect square. Magpapaiwan si 2. So, magiging pareho na sila. Si 50 naman, 25 and 2. So, magpapaiwan si 2. Si 25 mayroong perfect square. Therefore, lahat sila ay may square root of 2 na magpapaiwan. Therefore, we can say that this is similar. Alright. How about this one? Square root of 5, square root of 10, square root of 15, and square root of 20. Kahit biyakin mo yan sila, hindi sila magkakaroon ng parehong radicand. Therefore, this is dissimilar radicals. Okay, so napakadali lamang po alamin ang similar radicals or dissimilar radicals. Ang titingnan mo lang is yung loob ng radicands such that when you simplify them, magkakaroon sila ng the same. If ever yung given is already the same, then good for you. Pero pag hindi, you try to simplify and if ever magkaroon ka ng final answer from each given na same radicand, then that will become a similar radicals. But if not, then that is the similar radicals. Easy, right? Yes, easy lang talaga, my dear math learners. So now, let us talk about how to add and subtract radical expressions. Okay. So, my dear math learners, ang pag-a-add at pag-subtract ng radical expression ay para lang nag-a-add ka ng mga terms. Okay? Combine like terms. Hindi mo pwedeng i-add ang hindi pareho ng terms. When I say terms, hindi mo pwedeng i-add si square root of 5 kung hindi ang ipang-add mo ay another square root of 5. Okay? So, kapag meron kang square root of 5, meron kang square root of 2, hindi mo sila pwedeng pagsamahin. Hindi mo sila pwedeng i-add or i-minus. Instead, you just copy them. Pero kapag meron kang square root of 5, tapos in-add or in-minus na naman siya sa another expression na may square root of 5, then pwede mo siyang pagsamahin. Example of that is number 1. So, we have here 5 square root of 5 plus 12 square root of 5 minus 8 square root of 5. So, ganito lang yan, my dear math learners. It means na merong 5 square root of 5. That is 5 square root of 5. Merong 12 na square root of 5. Okay? And merong 8 na square root of 5. So, i-add mo daw ang 5 square root of 5 sa 12 na square root of 5. That will give you 17 square root of 5. Of course, ima-minus mo siya sa 8 square root of 5. And that will give you 9 square root of 5. And that is your final answer. So, technically, my dear math learners, hindi mo ma-add ang sa loob ng radicand. Instead, ikakopy mo lang sila. Okay, napakadali lang po, my dear math learners. Okay, so now let us go to the next. We have square root of 98 plus square root of 50 minus square root of 18. Of course, ang titingnan ng mga common students, ay hindi sila pareho ng radicand, hindi ko na sila isosolve, ikakopy ko na lang sila. Diyan ka nagkakamali, my dear math learners. Bakit? Si square root of 98 ay pwedeng biyakin, si square root of 50 ay pwedeng biyakin, at si square root of 18 ay pwedeng biyakin, na kung saan ang isang example or isang factors nila ay merong perfect square. Okay, si 98, pag bibiyakin mo, 49 at 2, si 49 ay may square root. Si 50, pag bibiyakin mo, 25 at 2, si 25 may square root. Si 18, pag bibiyakin mo, 9 at 2, si 9 ay may square root. Okay, so if that is the case, then what you will do is you need to simplify. So 49 square root of 49 and 2, 49 is a perfect square, that is 7, so 7, but 2 is not a perfect square, then magpapaiwan si square root of 2. Same goes, si 25, perfect square, 5. So, si 2, ganun pa rin, wala. So, you just copy it, square root of 2. Magpapaiwan sa radical sign. Then, si 9, that is 3. Si square root of 2, ganun din, wala. So, you just copy. Now, as you can see, my dear math learners, magkapareho na sila ngayon. Katulad kanina sa example number 1, they have the same radicand. So, therefore, 7 square root of 2 plus 5 square root of 2 minus 3 square root of 2, ang gagawin mo lang is to add and to subtract. So 7 plus 5, that is 12. 12 minus 3, that is 9 square root of 2. And that is easy, right? Easy lang talaga, my dear math learners. Okay, example number 3. What if kung meron ng mga variables? Alright. So we have here cube root, we have here cube root. Okay. Now, since we have here 24x, okay, so titingnan natin, kaya bang biyakin si 24 ng isang perfect cube? We all know na ang first perfect cube natin is si 1. The second perfect cube is si 8. Now, 8 is a factor of 24. So, pwede nating biyakin ito. Okay, si 81, how about 81? 81 is a factor of 3. So, 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, that is 3 to the power of 4. So, therefore, 27 is a cube root of this one, which is a factor of 81. So, ngayon, itatry na natin biyakin sila. Okay, let's try. So, 2x, copy mo lang. Biyakin natin si 24. That is 8 and 3. And then x din kasi may x. Alright? And then, dito naman, plus 5. Okay, copy lang natin. And then, cube root of 81. 81 is 27 and 3. So, we have 27 and 3. Alright? And then, x to the power of 4. That is x to the x cube and x. Okay? So, biniyak ko lang sa in terms of the power of 3 kasi yung index natin is power of 3. Okay, then if we simplify, dito sa first radical expression, we have 8 here as the perfect cube. So, the cube root of 8 is 2. So, magiging 2 na siya. So, if you nasa labas na siya ngayon, so 2 times yung nasa labas na kanina pa. So, 2 times 2x, that is 4x. And then, you copy yung nagpaiwan si 3x kasi wala yun silang perfect cube. Wala silang, hindi sila ma-cube root, kung ganun, okay? So, you just copy them, cube root of 3x. Okay, so that is the first part. How about this one? So, 5, you copy them. 27 is a perfect cube, so that is 3. X cube is a perfect cube, so that is x. Okay, magpapaiwan si 3 at si x. O, ngayon, si 3x na nasa labas, i-multiply natin sa original na merong nasa labas agad. So, 5 times 3x, that is 15x. Now, as you can see, my dear math learners, pareho sila ng radicand. Ito, cube root of 3x. Therefore, we can simplify them since the expression outside the radical expression is also a like term, 4x at saka 15x. So, 4x plus 15x, that is 19x. Alright? And then, since these radicand are identical, you just copy them. And you have your final answer as 19x cube, 19x cube root of 3x. Alright, so napakadali lang po, my dear math learner. So, another example here is this one. So, ganun lang din ang style katulad kanina dito sa example number 2. So, bibiyakin mo lang din. Of course, yung pagbiyak mo sa kanila, kung sino yung may perfect square, i-multiply mo sa original na nasa labas na agad-agad. So, example, square root of 20. Pag ibiyakin mo sila, that is 4 and 5. Si 4, ang may square root si 4 is 2. So, So, si 2 ngayon ay multiply sa original na nasa labas, which is 3. That will give you 6. Okay? Then, you just copy the square root of 5. Of course, same scenario lang din dito. So, si 125, 25 and 5. Then, si 25 naging 5. You multiply it to 6, naging 30, square root of 5. You have here 9 and 5 for the 45. Si 9 is a perfect square, which is 3. So, 3 multiplied to the original 5 sa labas. That is 15. And then, you just copy square root of 5. And now, they have all the same radicands. So, what you will do is you copy the radicand, square root of 5. And then, 6 minus 30, that is negative 26. Negative 26 plus 15, that is still negative 9. Okay, so the answer is negative 9.
Easy, right?
Yes, easy lang talaga, my dear math learners. Okay, so we have here the same. So what if ganito naman? Okay, so itong dalawa may squared, square root itong dalawa din dito, cube root. Of course, ganito ang mangyayari dyan, my dear math learners. In terms of different index, when you add and you subtract, they can never be added together. Okay. So, ibig sabihin, itong dalawa lang ang pwedeng pagsamahin if ever pareho ng radicand. At ito naman, pagsasamahin mo if ever they will have result to the same radicand. Okay, example. So, we have 112. Okay? So, if bibiyakin natin si 112, that is 16 and 7. So, 16 is 4. So that is 4 times 5, that is 20 square root of 7. Okay, that is the simplified for this part. Okay, I hope you got that one. Now, how about this one? 4 cube root of 54. So si 54 naman is si 27 and 2. So the cube root of 27 is 3. So 3 times 4 tayo. Okay, so that is 12. 12 cube root of 2. So you have the simplified form for the second term. Okay, how about the third term? 252. That is 36 and 7. Okay, so the square root of 36 is 6. So 6 times 9, that is 54 square root of 7. Okay, so that is your third term. Final answer for the third term. And for the final term, which is the fourth term, 16. So that is 8 and 2. So 2 times 7, 14, cube root of 2. So, ngayon, ito na ang mga simplified expression mo sa bawat terms. However, right now, you need to observe. This one, square root of 7, ang radicand niya, ito may square root of 7 radicand din. So, they are like terms. So, pwede mo silang pagsamahin. 20 plus 54, that is 74 square root of 7. Now, hindi mo yan pwedeng pagsamahin dito. Okay, ito may cube root of 2. Ang kapareho niya din ay dito, cube root of 2. So, therefore, sila din ang magkasama. So, 12 minus 14, that is negative 2. So, minus 2 ka. Copy mo lang si cube root of 2 at yun na ang magiging final answer mo. Huwag mo nang piliting i-minus ang hindi magkapareho ng radicand because magkakamali ka. Alright, so I hope klarong-klaro yan sa inyo, my dear math learners. So we have here example number 6. They are just the same as earlier. Okay? So I hope klarong-klaro niya. You just need to step by step solve this one. Okay, so now let us go to the multiplication of radical expression. Alright, so paano ba mag-multiply ng mga radical expression? So of course, hindi katulad kanina sa addition and subtraction na bawal pagsamahin ng hindi pareho ng radicand. Dito sa multiplication, wala siyang pakialam because you just apply the rule in multiplying, like the product rule, yung mga ganun-ganun. Okay? So, technically, you just need to add the exponent. Depende kung mag-multiply ka. Kung magdi-divide naman, subtract the exponent. Okay. So, let's try to answer this example, activity 5. So, for number 1, we have 64 to the power of 1/3. Of course, if you make this as a radical expression, this will give you cube root of 64. So, cube root of 64, what is the perfect root dyan? That is 8 times 8, right? So, 8 squared. So, the cube root of 8, 4. Okay, so the answer for that is 4. Okay, let's check whether we are correct. Meron, ayan, letter Q. Ayan, so number 1, the answer is letter Q. So my dear math learners, ito mga 1 to 10 dito, katulad lang ito kanina sa lesson 1, the simplification of radicals. So hanapin mo lang din dito, isulat mo dito ang letter that corresponds the answer, and there will be a hidden message for this one. Okay, so napakadali lang nito, my dear math learners. Okay, so in multiplying radicals, these are the procedures to be considered. Okay, so when you multiply the same indices, so you just copy the index and then you multiply the radicands. Okay, so okay, and then the final result, simplify it if necessary. Then, when the indices are different but radicals are the same, apply the steps. Okay, transform the radicals to fractional exponents or rational exponents, and then multiply the powers by applying x to the power of m times x to the power of n, which is x to the power of m plus n. Rewrite the product as a single radical, then simplify the resulting radical if necessary. Okay, later on malalaman nyo yan. Okay, so dito na tayo, my dear math learners. We have here example number 1, square root of 24x times square root of 3xy. So since they are both the same square root, so you just copy the square root. 24 times 3, that is 72. X and x, that is x squared. Y, wala siyang kapareho, so you just copy y. And this is your product when you multiply the two. However, 72 can be broken down. Bakit? Kasi si 72 is breakable, right? Or pwede siyang ma-factored out. That is 9 and 8. However, si 8 ay pwede ding ma-factor out, right? So, itong final answer dito, hindi pa talaga ito final. Bakit? This can be basically, you can use 36 here. Tama? So, 36 and 2. So, 36 and 2, you have 6. Okay, pakita natin ito, my dear math learners. Pero dito ako magsisimula sa 72, square root of 72 x squared y. Okay, because that is the correct multiplication, pero himali lang pagka simplify, my dear math learners. Okay, so we have the square root of 72x, ano yan? X squared y. Okay, my dear math learners, ang 72 pwede yan siya sa 36 at saka sa 2. Okay, and then si x squared, of course, x squared and then y. Okay, so the square root of 36 is 6. The square root of 2, wala. So you just copy it. X squared, the square root of x squared is x. The square root of y, wala din. So you just copy it. And this will be your final answers. Not 3x square root of 8y. Bakit? Because 8y can still be broken down by 8 and by 4 and 2. And the 4 is a perfect square, which is 2. So 2 multiplied by 3, that will become 6. Which is just the same as our what I just shown you in the whiteboard. Okay, so I hope naklaro yan. So medyo may kulang ang ating module sa pagka-simplify. Alright, so let's continue, my dear math learners. So the final answer is not yet simplified. Okay, now let's go to example number 2. Multiply 4 to the 4 square root of 6 and 5 square root of 24. So of course, kung sino yung mga nasa labas, yun yung i-multiply mo. So 4 times 5, that is 20. And then square root of 6 and square root of 24, pareho sila square root. So you just copy the square root. And 6 and 24, the answer is 144. Of course, 144 is a perfect square. May square root ang 144 and that is 12. So 12 times 20, which is yung nasa labas. So 12 times 20, that is 240. And that will be your final answer. Easy, right? Easy lang talaga, my dear math learners. How about number 3? We have 3 square root of 12x times square root of 8x cubed y. So 3, wala siyang kasama dyan. So copy lang siya sa labas. Square root of 12, square root of 8. So pareho sila square root. So you just copy the square root. 12 times 8, that is 96. X and x cubed, that is x to the 4th. And then si y, hindi na naman nasali dito sa final answer. Ano ba yan, my dear math learners? Okay, so basta may y ito dito. Nakalimutan, no? May given y dito, hindi na nasali dito. Okay, anyway, so the square root of 96 is not a perfect square. So pwede mo siyang biyakin into factors. That is 16 and 6. So 16 is a perfect square, that is 4. So lalabas na siya. Si x to the 4th naman is divisible by the index 2. So 4 divided by 2, that is x squared. So lalabas siya. However, si 6 walang perfect square, so magpapaiwan siya sa radical sign. Pero kasama niya dito si y dapat. Okay, si y. May y yan siya dyan, my dear math learners. Ewan ko ba sa mga module na ito. So anyway, so 3 times 4, that is 12. X squared, copy. And then square root of 6y. Okay, ulitin ko. 6y kasi may y dito sa given. Okay, ganun lang kadali, my dear math learners. Right? And I hope naklaro nyo din yon sa inyong end. Para at least alam nyo, hindi kayo mawala. Ano, bakit naging ganito? Bakit naging ganyan ang final answer? Okay, example number 4. We have x square root of 5 and y square root of 7. So x and y, they are two different but they are both outside. So when you multiply them, itatabi nyo lang sila. Okay, so x, y. Alright. Square root of 5, square root of 7, pareho sila square root. So 5 times 7, that is 35. And since 35 cannot be broken down, though we can break it down into factors, however, any factors of it is not a perfect square. So there is no reason to do so. Okay, wala nang, parang hindi siya worth it para biyakin kasi pag bibiyakin mo siya, walang perfect square na factor. Okay, ganun. So, your final answer is xy square root of 35. Okay, next, we have negative 5 square root of 15a times negative 2 square root of 5ab times 9 square root of 3a. So, of course, ito mga nasa labas, negative 5 times negative 2, that is negative 10 times 9. Negative 10 times 9 is positive 90. So, that is it. Alright. However, itong mga nasa radicals natin, we have 15a, square root, square root, square root. So, para sa square root, so pwede kang gumawa ng mahabang square root. Okay. So, 15 times 5, that is 75, I think. Yeah. 75 times 3, and that is, yan, teka lang, parang nagkakaiba na yata dito. Wait, ha? So, okay. So, ang ginawa niya, so, si 90. So, 5 times 3. Okay. Biniyak niya si 15. And 15 here is a combination of 5 and 3. So, 5, 3, 5, 3. So, since they are both, powers of 2 na kasi dalawang 5, dalawang 3. So, pwede na silang ilabas. 3 at 5. Ganon. Then, for the A, dalawang A ito, that is A squared. So, may A ka na sa labas. However, meron pang isang A dito. So, magpapaiwan si isang A dyan. Kasi A cube ito eh. So, si A cube divided by the index 2. So, meron kang 1, pero may remainder ka ding 1. So, magpapaiwan si A. Then, si B naman, nag-iisang bilang, wala siyang ka-perfect square. So, magpapaiwan si AB sa labas. So, if you simplify 90 times 3 times 5 times A, the answer is 1,350 A square root of AB. Okay, and that is your final answer. Okay, example number 6 tayo, my dear math learners. Multiply cube root of 3 times or and the fourth root of 2. O ito, hindi na sila magkapareho ng index. So, anong gagawin mo dito? So, you need to change this into a rational expression. So, that will become 3 to the power of 1/3. Ito yon. Okay, palakihin natin. Yan. Okay, 3 to the power of 1/3. Ito naman, gawin mo siyang rational expression. This will become 2 to the power of 1/4. Okay, so meron ka ng ganito. Ngayon, paano mo i-multiply yan sila? Of course, in the rule of the product rule. So, when you multiply them, you cannot multiply them unless they have the same, they are like signs, di ba? Okay? So, what we will do now is to change them into similar fractions. So, 3 and 4, ano bang LCD ni 3 at 4? That is 12. So, si 1/3 magiging 4/12, si 1/4 magiging 3/12. Okay? And now, since they are both the same denominator, pero hindi sila pareho ng base, so hindi mo makakopy ang base dito. So, you now change this into a radical expression. So, magiging 12 root of 3 to the 4 and 12 root of 2 cube. Of course, right now, in this matter, since they are both the same 12 root, pwede mo na silang pag-isahin. Okay? So, 12 root of. And then 3 to the 4th is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, that is 81. 2 cube is 2 times 2 times 2, that is 8. So, 81 times 8, that is 648. So, your final answer is the 12 root of 648. Easy, right? Yes, konting easy, pero somehow, I'm sure na uulitin lang natin, pag hindi sila pareho ng radicand, ang gagawin mo lang is to change it into rational exponent, and then from the rational exponent, you make it with the same similar fraction as to their exponent, and when you do, you go back to the radical expressions, and if ever they have the same radical expression, now you can multiply them. Okay. So, ganun lang kadali, my dear math learners. Same goes dito. So, ito, ginawa, si fifth root of 2, naging 2 to the power of 1/5. Si cube root of 5, naging 5 to the power of 1/3. Then, kinuha ang kanilang LCD, that is 15. Okay? Yan. That is 15. Tapos, pareho na silang denominator. So, change this into radical expression, 15th root, 15th root. And then, you multiply them. So, that is 2 cubed. That is 5 to the power of 5. So, 2 cubed is 8. 5 to the power of 5 is 3,125. And you multiply it to 8, that is 25,000. Okay, so your final answer is the fifth root of 25,000. So, constant practice lang, my dear math learners. I'm sure kayang-kaya nyo din ito. Alright? Okay, so napakadali lang. So, that's it. Alright, so how about if you have this given? What if 2 terms multiplied by 2 terms? Okay, ganito lang din, my dear math learners. Ang gagawin mo lang is to just apply the FOIL method. Meaning, you need to distribute it. So, in this case, what you will do is, this square root of 3 will be multiplied to 3 square root of 2 and negative 4 square root of 3. Okay? So, yan nga ang nangyari. 3 times 3 square root of 2 plus, kasi, okay, plus, okay? Square root of 3 times negative square root of 4 square root of 3. Okay, so yun. And then, after that, ito naman ang i-multiply mo. Ganun pa rin dito, i-distribute mo sila. So, using the FOIL method. So, you have square root of 2 times 3 square root of 2. Ito yon. And you have square root of 2 times negative 4 square root of 3. Ito yon. Okay? And then, you simplify. So, when you multiply this one, this will become 3 square root of 6. If you multiply this one, this will become negative 4 square root of 9. And if you are here in the third term, we have square root of 2 times 3 square root of 2. That is 3 square root of 4. And for the final term, we have negative 4 square root of 6. Okay, so ito na yun, ang simplified. Ngayon ay pagsasamahin mo na ang pareho ng radicals. Okay, so we have square root of 6 here. We have square root of 6 here. So pwede mo silang pagsamahin. So 3 plus negative 4, that is negative 1. Okay, so ito na yon, negative 1 square root of 6 or negative square root of 6. Okay, how about this one? Since the square root of 9 is a perfect square, that is 3. Since square root of 4 is a perfect square, that is 2. So, magiging negative 4 times 3 at saka 3 times positive 2. If you multiply negative 4 times 3, that is negative 12. 3 times 2, that is positive 6. So, negative 12 plus 6, the answer is negative 6. Okay. So, ito yon. And you have now your 2 final answers, which is this one, or 2 terms, which is your final answer. That is negative square root of 6 minus 6. Easy, right? Yes, easy lang talaga, my dear math learners. So, ganun lang po kadali, my dear math learners, in terms of multiplying 2 terms. So, ito naman, dito sa number 9, same concept pa rin. So, since naka-squared ito, 2 beses mo siyang i-times. Okay? So, ganito lang pagkakasulat. Okay? Isa, at ito yung pangalawa. So, when you multiply them, ganun pa rin, FOIL method pa rin. The same concept here. Okay. So, now let us go to the division of radical expression. So, same pa rin, magsisimplify tayo. Okay? When you simplify, the choices are here. Okay? Ito yung mga isi-simplify mo na part. At ito yung mga choices mo. Dito ka kukuha ng mga sagot. Okay? So, you do the rationalization from this one and then nandito yung mga sagot. Kung ano yung corresponding letter, yun ang ilalagay dyan. Alright. And then there will be a word that will be formed. Okay? Napakadali lang, my dear math learners. Okay. So, now we have here supply the missing pair of the factors of the given expression. Okay. So, if you have x squared minus 25, of course, that is x minus 5 and x plus 5, the conjugate of that one. So, basically, you are getting the conjugate of this one. Okay? So, napakadali lang ng part na ito. In terms of conjugate, balikan nyo yung sa simplification of radicals. Okay. So, how about this one? So, how do we divide? Okay. So, when we divide, okay, so square root of 2 divided by square root of 7, pwede mo siyang isulat as ganito na way. Okay? In a fraction form. So, negative 2 over square root of 7, and then you just, if that is the case, kung hindi mo naman sila ma-divide, ang gagawin mo na lang is to apply the rationalization, and when you apply the rationalization, you will have the square root of 14 over 7, and that will be your final answer. Okay, napakadali lang,
Easy,
my dear math learners. How about this one? Square root of 3, cube root of 6xy divided by cube root of 2x. So, since this is a cube root, so yan. Okay? So, technically, pwede mo siyang i-divide dito. 6 divided by 2, that is 3, right? Then, x and x will be cancelled out. So, that is 3y. So, that's the final answer. Ito, ewan ko kung bakit nagkaroon pa ng rationalization dito. But, technically, this one can be simplified. Okay? Pakita ko lang sa inyo, my dear math learners. Palakihin ko lang. So, somehow, medyo may mga ano talaga. So, 6x and 2x can be simplified. 6 divided by 2, that is 3. X divided by x, that is cancelled out. And then copy y. So, the final answer is cube root of 3y.
Easy, right?
You don't need to do this one if you can simplify it on this part pa lang. Okay, my dear math learners? So, be careful on how to, on seeing the given. Okay? So, how about letter B? So, we have here the cube root of 3 divided by the fourth root of 2. Okay, so kapag ganito naman, my dear math learners, katulad ng multiplication kanina, gagawin mo is you cannot divide them, hindi mo kaya silang pagsamahin. So, you need to convert them into rational exponents. So, si cube root of 3 ay maging 3 to the power of 1/3. Si 2 naman, si fourth root of 2 ay 2 to the power of 1/4. And then, you get the similar fraction of 1/3 and 1/4. That is 4/12 and 3/12. And then, you go back to the radical expression. So, the 12 root of 3 to the 4 and the 12 root of 2 cube. Pwede mo na silang pagsamahin. So, since 2 cube is still kulang para maging perfect 12 power, so, it needs 2 to the power of 9. So, nagkailangan talaga dito ng rationalization. Okay? So, if that is the case, then 2 cube times 2 to the power of 9, that is 2 to the power of 12. Okay? Para ma-rationalize itong denominator side. And then 3 to the 4th, that is 81. 2 to the power of 9, that is 512. You just multiply them, and the answer is 41,472. So, I hope, my dear math learners, napakadali lamang ng ganito if ever you encounter two different indices in dividing. Okay? So, same goes here. Ganun pa rin. The square root of 3 divided by the fourth root of 3. So, what they do is change them into rational, and then you get the, ano tawag dyan? Ito, since they have the same, ito. Sige. Let's try. What if the same base sila? Okay. So, since here, you can apply the division rule. Okay? So, you copy the base and you subtract 1/2 minus 1/4. So, they are dissimilar fractions, so you need to make them as similar fractions. 2 to the 4th, 2 over 4 minus 1/4, that is 1/4. Okay? So, ano na naman ginawa dito? Kinancelled niya ang mga... Ay, nako talaga. Iba talaga ang... Okay, ulitin ko. 2 to the 4th minus 1 to the 4th, because according to the division rule, you copy the base, you subtract the exponents. 2 to the 4th minus 1/4, that is 1/4. So 3 to the power of 1/4. If you convert 3 to the power of 1/4, this is the answer. You don't need to do this one. My goodness. Okay, my dear math learners, I hope that is clear to you. So there are a lot of processes here that being shown, which is way complicated. Okay? So, itong mga sinasabi ko, pwede mo siyang i-direct. Okay? Ito na part. I-minus mo lang si 2/4 at si 1/4, ang sagot 1/4. So 3 to the power of 1/4 is automatically 4th root of 3. Alright. How about this one? Okay, so if this is the case, the square root of m plus n over the square root of m minus n, they are both square root. So you can ano them. However, this is a binomial, so you need to apply the conjugate of this one. So, ay, hindi siya nag-conjugate. Minultiply niya ang kaparehon niya. So, therefore, ito ang nangyari, cancelled out. Okay, multiply, oh yeah. Pwede din, pwede din. Okay? However, if you apply the conjugate on this one, ay, sorry. Hindi pala ma-apply ang conjugate dito kasi as a whole man sila. Okay, as a whole man. So, since this is one factor lang siya, one expression. So, you multiply it to its identical expression. So, parang tinrato mo siya like this. Parang tinrato mo siya ng ganito. Okay? So, you just need to multiply yung ka-pair niya para maging perfect square siya. Okay? So, by doing so, m minus n times m minus n, that is m minus n to the power of 2. You can cancel them. So, that is a perfect square. And then, dito naman, since they are the product of the sum and difference of two binomials, of two squares pala, ganun. So, the answer is, or special product pala, sorry. So, that is m squared minus n squared. Okay? And that will be your final answer. Okay? So, more of this on my videos sa ating playlist, my dear math learners, para mag-deep dive talaga kayo doon at mas maintindihan nyo lalo pa. Okay? So, I hope klarong-klaro nyo na ito. So, here naman is, ito yun na yung conjugate. Okay? So, nag-multiply siya dito. Okay? Which is just the same as what we did earlier in the simplification. Okay? So, ito naman, conjugate pa rin. Okay? So, ganun lang, my dear math learners. Ito dito, nag-conjugate tayo kasi two separate radical expressions. And then, we have here, the let us practice. So, kayo nang sasagot dito. Addition and subtraction of radical expressions. So, pakita nyo solution nyo dito. And then, your final answer. And then, we have here the let us add and subtract. Ganun pa rin. You show the solutions and the answer. And then fill in the blanks. Blank are radicals having the same blank and the same blank. Okay. So, I'm sure you just read the given introduction and the given discussion on the previous page to answer this one. We also have the true or false. You need to apply what you have analyzed in this matter. And then let us practice more. So, meron tayong another puzzle dito. Okay? So, ito yung isosolve nyo at nandito yung sagot. Alright. And then we have activity 13. What's the message? So, in this, what's the message? Ganun pa rin. So, you need to simplify this one. And if ever you simplify this one, hanapin nyo dito sino yung sagot. And then you put the word on top of it. Okay? At magiging isang sentence na yan. And then, in the activity 14, we have the radical expression. Multiply na ito. Okay? So, ito, i-multiply dito, anong sagot? Ito, i-multiply dito, anong sagot? Ito, i-multiply dito, anong sagot? Same goes, ganyan. Same goes, ganyan. Okay? Parang nag-multiplication table ka lang. Alright? Then, we have rationalization. So, tanggalin ang radical sign sa baba or sa denominator side. So, applying the rule in rationalizing. Okay, and then we have the let us remember, my dear math learners. Okay, so like radicals and similar radicals of the same order or index and having the same radicand. Okay, so I'm sure you already got this one, my dear math learners. And if ever meron pa kayong mga part doon na medyo ano tawag dyan, nalilito kayo or na-confuse kayo, you can apply, you can put your inquiries in our comment section below. Huwag kayong mahiya, my dear math learners, dahil binabasa ko talaga ang inyong mga tanong at sinasagot ko yan sa abot ng aking makakaya. Okay? So, I will teach you how to solve it. I don't give answers, but I will always give solutions. Okay, so I hope my dear math learners, ay marami kayong naintindihan for this day. And for the final part, we have the let us assess, and this is the post-test of the post-test of the module. So this needs to be answered correctly. So do your best para mas lalo nyong makuha ang higher score dito sa mga questions na ito. And these are 15 questions, ABCD lang ito. And then after that, you have the performance task. For my students, you don't need to answer this one because we have our performance task in our playlist. Okay? But for other teachers, ito, you just apply the instructions and then the materials, and then these are graded based on the rubrics. Okay, my dear math learners. So, after the performance task, we have the reflection. So, what are you happy about on this module? What have you learned? And then somehow, what are the difficulties that you encountered? And then, how would you improve yourself in this one? So, my dear math learners, you just need to tell what you feel, your insights, your opinions, okay? So, just be honest, because we teachers, we always read this part and we appreciate what you write here, regardless of how negative or how positive it is in terms of your learnings in mathematics, because on that matter, we can also improve our teachings to you. Okay, my dear math learners. So, I hope you have learned a lot of things for this day. If ever you're still new to the channel, please do hit that subscribe button and notification bell, my dear math learners, para at least mas marami pang mas marami pang makuha or ma-reach out ang channel na ito sa mga students. This is still your free access YouTube edu creator, Math Teacher Ash. And always remember, masarap matuto ng mathematics kapag marami tayong nagsasama-sama. Thank you so much. God bless. And keep safe always.
I will take a little trip over yonder, so I can take a look around at what you've seen.